In this lesson, we're going to begin the analysis, and we're going to start plotting and seeing what we've come up with in terms of all of our work. And so, before we do that, it's always good to clean up and do a few items. So, I've already got this data file from the last thing where we did party ID. It's already saved, but let's go out here and look at the other output file. This is okay for now because I'm going to change a couple things, but let's just go ahead and close it out. And then as I'm doing this next step and plotting and doing these other things, that stuff will come up in this new output file. So I'll go ahead and close that. I'm going to go to variable view, and I'm going to make a few changes that are going to help us have a little bit, it's going to have a little bit of help whenever we get to the plots. So this is our primary dependent variable, vote score. It is going to be a numeric variable, but it's going to have 2 decimal places. And I don't really want decimal places on the graph, so I'm just going to get rid of those 2 decimal places. They'll still be there in the database, but they just won't be presented whenever we do the data. That's the first thing that we need to do. And then I'm going to put in here, I'm just going to call these support score. And that'll work for that. And so we'll have that title will come in. The last thing that we have down here is I'm going to plot this versus this. So let's make sure we update this. Again, I don't really want, it's a dichotomous variable. I don't need decimal places on that. So I'm going to call this party identification. And I'm going to insert some labels here. I'm going to say, use this button, and I'm going to say if the value is 0, that is Democratic. And if the value is 1, I'm going to call that Republican. And I'm going to add that one. And okay, everything is good there. And so we should have everything ready. So I've got this one established, and I've got my other one. Now all I need to do is plot this thing. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to click Graphs, go down to Legacy Dialogues, and I'm going to go to Boxplot. I'm just doing a simple box plot here, and there are summaries for groups of cases. I'm going to go through and find my dependent variable, which is support score / vote score. When I have that label in there, it puts that label up there first. Category access is going to be party identification. So I'm going to move that one over, which is labeled party ID. And I'm not going to label those cases or anything else. And I think I'm just going to run this and see how it works. And lo and behold, this is what we get. We'll see that Democratic members of the House were much more supportive of this than Republican members. And this is not a bad plot, but it's kind of ugly. And so I'm going to make it look a little bit better. And the way to do that is let's make this a little bit bigger. And you just do this out of the menu. So let's double click this thing. And one of the first things that you can do is let's change the chart size. So click off maintain aspect ratio and do 300 by 600. And that gets the plot a little bit wider and it makes it look a little bit better. All right, so that's fine there. And let me expand this a little bit. Okay, good. And I've got all these kind of different identifiers in here. One thing I want to do is I want to kind of go through and make these numbers. Let me see if I can fill these differently. Hold on. First, before we do that, let me mess with this a little bit. I'm going to try to get rid of these labels. All right, so I have all these labels in here. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to click Elements. Actually, let me go back there. Chart Editor. And let me click on Elements and let's hide data labels. All right, and so that just shows you kind of the outliers there, and that's all real good. All right, I'm going to stop here and I'm going to figure out, I want to change these bars to represent colors. So I'm going to make these blue and these red, and I got to go through and figure out how to do that. Okay, so I figured out how to do these. The first thing that you do is you click on this one, right? And so when you click on the first time, you get both of these, right? But then click on it again, and double click it, you'll pull this thing up and then click it one more time and you get rid of that one and you're only focused on this one. So this is going to be the Democrats over here. They're always blue, so let's make them blue. And we're going to apply and make those blue. And then down here, these are the Republicans. Republicans are red, as we all know, so we're going to make that red and close that one. All right, this is pretty good. Let's mess with these labels over here a little bit. You can double click those. We can go in and make the scale. Let's click off all of these first. And then let's do in 10% increments. So we're going to have minimum 0, maximum 100, and then we're going to have major increments of 10%. And then let's make those 5%. Instead of 5%, make them 1% and apply it like that. And then what that does is that gets us a very good plot. So we have a nice nice little plot here. Everything seems to be good. This will work for what we're going to do. And the only thing that I might do, let me double click this and let me see if I can, let me go back here. Sometimes you can shrink this a little bit and I can't really figure it out right now. It's all right. So let's just keep it as is. I couldn't make it. Sometimes you like to shrink that a little bit, make it a little less whatever, but we'll just take it as is and we'll copy this. And we can just paste this right into a spreadsheet. So I've got this already in the instructions. I've given you kind of informed tables. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here and there's this old one. I'm going to delete that and then I'm just going to paste and merge formatting. I'm just going to paste, keep source format, and then I'll delete this and I'll delete that. Okay, and then one thing you can do here is notice how this is a little bit bigger. So if you go out here and you format picture, you can do size and then absolute, make that about 6.4. And what that does is it puts it in that frame. And so now we have this really nice kind of plot. House support for campaign finance reform versus party identification. This is the Democrats, so they're obviously very supportive of that, and the Republicans here are not, so we have a real partisan issue, even though it's called bipartisan campaign finance reform. And then go through and update these kind of different things. You don't have a bipartisan campaign finance reform, so update that. Update the number of roll call votes and make this table your own and make this one up here your own. And then we're going to copy and paste that into your spreadsheet or into your PowerPoint presentation later. And so this will be real good. All right, so that is the first plot and it looks real good. We get a real strong relationship that tells us what we did was right. Okay, good.